All right, hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over the World of Warcraft Season 4 patch notes coming up on Tuesday, August 2nd, which will be today when the video goes up. There will be a brand new season of World of Warcraft, new mythics, a change to the rating system, a bunch of class changes, and in this video we're just going to go through the patch notes that we have available to us today. The ones we get tomorrow might be a bit different. All right, so let's get adjusted here. Shadowlands Season 4 brings a new Mythic Plus dungeon, so it's going to be bringing in 6 returning dungeons from earlier expansions. Off the top of my head, I think we're looking at... What do we got? We got Karazhan from Legion, floors, the bottom floor and the top floor. We have Tazavesh from Shadowlands. We have Mechagon from BFA. We have 2 Warlords of Draenor dungeons, I believe. But we'll see. It's also bringing in Fated Raids, which is a new rating system to bring back old raids to make them a bit more relevant. We have Empowered World Bosses, which I didn't know about actually, a new PvP system, and fabulous rewards. So let's see if it's worth it. Fated Raids, so each week during Shadowlands Season 4, a Fated Raid will pop up. So that'll be Castle Nathria, Sanctum of Domination, or Sepulchre of the First Ones. Each one will have fated powers, which is augmented boss powers. So I believe that's going to be something similar to Mythic system, where we get different affixes. Seasonal rewards for fated raids include new feats of strength, Jiggleworth mount, which is the Jello cat, so that's kind of cool. The Hero of the Fate title, and teleports to each Shadowland raid location, which is less relevant now, but still kind of cool. So they wanted it to be a fresh take, adding new mechanics under pre-existing encounters. Okay, cause of precarious. Yeah. They're called Fated Infusions. These are earned after executing the Fated Power mechanics. Okay, so let's look at the Fated Powers. So this is going to be what the bosses in these Shadowlands dungeons, so Nathria, Sepulchre, all that, are going to have on top of what they have normally. So we get Creation Spark, so targets become charged with cosmic damage over time. When this magic dispellable aura is removed, so you can dispel it, that's pretty cool. Creation Sparks fly off and impact the ground. They can explode if there's no player there to intercept it. If there is, the player is rewarded with a power infusion, increasing the flow of time and movement of any player in the radius. So flow of time, that makes me think like it's probably going to be like a haste buff. I'm sure we have these on the PTR. I haven't played the PTR myself. I kind of like to stay away from that. But so we're looking at a haste buff and a movement speed buff. That's pretty cool. We have reconfiguration emitter. An enemy appears which will continuously cast inflicting cosmic damage to all players if successful. Over time, the enemy gains energy and increased damage, and when defeated, grants a fated infusion, which increases mastery, critical strength, versatility, and avoidance based on the enemy's energy value. Okay, so what that means, I'm assuming, is that there's going to be like a sweet spot for where we kill these things. So maybe with 25 energy, 50 energy, 75 energy. I imagine with it being for stats that it will be in fourths. So like 25, 50, 75, 100. Yeah, that's neat. I'm sure there is going to be a best way to do that, but it is kind of cool. Protoform Barrier infuses a powerful enemy to inflict cosmic damage to players. When removed, this power manifests as an enemy who shields all enemies in the area for a short period of time, sharing their pool of shielded health. Players may additionally heal a secondary unit to contribute against the pool. If this shield breaks, damage and healing done to the shielded enemies is inflicted upon them. And players are granted a fated infusion, increasing total health, damage, healing, and absorbs based on how much that player contributed. So this is interesting. A couple things pop out at me here. How much that player contributed. So this is going to be like... I don't know if this is going to be hard to manage, but we'll see. But more importantly, it looks like it's going to be buffing the trash as well, because like enemies are around it. So this isn't just boss affixes, this is trash too. Now that's interesting, and I don't know if I entirely love that, because trash in a raid isn't really interesting or fun to do. Adding these affixes just makes it more cumbersome and overall just annoying to push through. So I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm leaning towards it being a bad thing because, you know, trash isn't good, and making trash harder doesn't make it more interesting. Just doesn't. So what that basically is, chaotic essence, it looks like it is basically a chain of enemy spawns, which one after another after another after another spawn, and then the more you kill, the more damage, healing, and shields you get. So that's pretty sick. So Fated rewards. Entering any Shadowlands raid in Season 4 will start the quest Crossing the Fate. Kicking off the questline that will reward players for participating in Fated raids over the number of weeks with a new currency, up to 3 puzzling cartel denier. There's 3 new vendors. Not even going to try to say their names. They can be found lurking near the Great Vault in Oribos and will gladly trade 1 puzzling cartel denier for any of their wares, trinkets, weapons, and unique items from across all 3 Shadowlands raids at Fated normal quality. Oh, so I guess there is Fated, Heroic, and Mythic. That's cool. So that will be 278 to 285 for Fated normal. Defeating Fated bosses on Heroic or Mythic will reward each player 1 confounding cipher of the appropriate difficulty. Combining 20 of these ciphers awards a creation impetus, which upgrades any Fated items to Heroic or Mythic quality. That's interesting. 20 seems like a lot, but each boss drops it. So if there's 10 bosses, I mean, yeah, that seems like a lot for 1 upgrade. That's like 2 weeks an upgrade. I feel like if you clear the whole dungeon, you should get an upgrade. So they're basically saying here, this is a experimental system. It's going to change. They're limiting it to 3 just so that players can fill the gaps in with their regular gearing. They're trialing the method for upgrading raid gear, so that has to get adjusted, because I feel like 20 is so many. You should be able to get 1 a week. You should be able to get 1 upgrade a week through this system. That seems reasonable. All right, Mythic Plus, this is what we're probably going to be spending most of our time doing this season. Oh, let me scroll up here. So the new seasonal affix is Shrouded. Nathrazim infiltrators have disguised themselves among the enemies throughout the dungeon. Cartel Ta will reward you handsomely for assisting in their capture. New seasonal rewards for Mythic Plus include new feats of strength, 2 new titles, the Shrouded and the Shrouded Hero, dungeon teleports, and a new coloration of the Mythic Plus Deathwalker mount, which we've already seen. The new dungeon rotation consists of Tajaveth Streets of Wonder, Soleil's Gambit, Mechagon, both sides of Karazhan, lower and upper, the Legion version, by the way. Here are the Warlords ones, Iron Docks and Grim Rail Depot. Not a huge fan of Iron Docks, to be honest. Personally, I don't think that's going to be a great addition, but we'll see. I am on the outliers that say Grim Rail Depot is a good Mythic dungeon, I think. The flow of that dungeon suits very well for Mythic Plus, and it's less open than these 3. It gives us a nice linear path to follow for Mythic Plus, less cumbersome for tanks and new players and all that stuff, so it should be good. Coastwalker Goliath's Tidal Stomp has been reduced by 15%, so that's good. Undertow increased. So Goliath's Undertow increases the damage to Tidal Stomp by 15%, was 25%. So the Goliaths are getting a nerf, which is fine, because that little section of Soleil's Gambit is not very fun. Time Captain Hook. We have Anchor Shot no longer scales with Fortified. Damage reduced by 10%. I think that's a pretty good change overall. I mean, it wasn't a horribly complicated fight, but it is pretty good. Streets of Wonder, we have adjusted, obviously. Veteran Sparkcaster's Hyperlight Salvo deals damage less frequency. I don't remember this being an issue, but at higher keys, maybe it was. I can't really recall. But these are probably just scale nerfs, realistically, because we're moving into a new item level, and it's going to be one of the main dungeons, so they want to make sure it's as tight as possible. Fan mail having its damage reduced, I think, is good. Empowered world bosses. While a raid is fated, the rewards from the world boss linked to that raid will have their items level increased. Mortanis, Uranimos, Nurgash, and Valinor are linked to Castle Nathria. Morgath is linked to Sanctum of Domination, and Antros is linked to Sepulchre, the first ones. So that's cool. So we will have one world boss a week, which will drop increased rewards. So that's awesome. Love to hear that. And it gives a reason to go back and kill the old ones. This is a really cool system, and I really hope that it works out. I know that there are a lot of people who aren't stoked on this season because they don't want to play this set of Mythic Plus dungeons, but if we look at it as like a learning experience, I think this is going to be a pretty... This is going to set us up for what Dragonflight is going to be in the long run, and I think making old content relevant is really important. And I hate that it's taken us this long to get to this point, but we're finally here, so let's hope it goes well, and I'm excited. So we have some class tuning changes, so we're gonna look at Druid first. Balanced Druid is being nerfed. They're being buffed. Their Starfall damage is being increased by 15%. Balance's AoE has gradually fallen off in recent months. We believe due to Starfall not benefiting as much from comparable spells for increased astral power. Yeah, that makes sense. They have fallen off a bit. I remember that like early Sanctum, they were kind of popping off, and even Castle Nathrian, they kind of have fallen off a lot. Survival, Raptor Strike, Mongoose Bite, and Kill Command damage increased by 15%. Forset for Wildfire lowered by 20% to 20% was 30%. Wildfire Bomb and any Wildfire Infusion variants of Wildfire Bomb now deal reduced damage when hitting more than 8 targets. The Mad Bombardier set bonus boosts Wildfire Bombs in fun and powerful ways, but without the potential of potentially frequent set bonus activations and Wildfire Bombs not having any target cap where their damage is lowered. Survival Hunter has exceeded expectations in content where there are many targets hit. Okay, so in Mythic Plus, these Survival Hunters kind of been popping off a bit, and this is kind of a nerf to try to knock them down a peg. Will it? I don't think so. I don't think this is a huge nerf. It's a decent nerf, but I don't think it's a huge nerf, and I don't think that it's going to see a massive dip in their popularity. We'll see. I would rather see them, instead of nerfing a class every time it gets too powerful, I would love to see them like elevate another class through the ranks. I haven't gone through these patch notes yet, so I don't really know what to expect, but I can tell you, I guarantee you for a fact we don't see a Shadow Priest rework in here. And Shadow Priest need it the most, right? Of all the classes, Shadow Priest need to rework the most. It's not coming. I guarantee that. I guarantee it. I would be surprised if it's in here. Arcane, clear casting duration has been increased to 20 seconds. Yeah, that's good, I guess. Pretty good. Pretty basic. The only monk change is Windwalker. Spinning Crane Kick damage reduced by 5%. We're happy with the prior single target changes that have resulted in making Windwalker a powerful option in broad spectrum of situations. However, as a result, their total contribution ends up being slightly too strong in areas where their AoE strength can be brought to bear. All right, that's really basic. I feel like Monk needs a bit more love as a whole. So I mean, nerfing Monk doesn't really seem like a great play. Again, like we shouldn't just be nerfing classes. We should be elevating other ones to reach their level. If Spinning Crane Kick is doing too much damage, but not to the point where obviously if something's broken, we need to change that. But if Spinning Crane Kick is doing too much damage, you know what? Increase the other classes, bring them up, elevate Shadow Priest, you know, elevate Arms Warrior, you know, make some changes there instead of bringing the other classes down. I don't know. We'll see. Paladin Protection Armor is increased by 5%. Holy Shield increased the block chance to 20%. Too many prop protection paladins dying to melee damage or mixed. Yeah. I mean, that's a very boring change, but I guess it's a decent change. Whoa, we got a Shadow Priest change here. Look at this. Spoilers. Okay. Is it going to be enough? All right. So we get Mind Seer. So for Shadow Priest, we get Mind Seer damage increased to 30%, or by 30%. Shadow Crash damage increased by 25%. Searing Nightmare damage increased by 25%. We are looking into Shadow's AoE toolkit for Dragonflight, and we want to address concerns brought up by the community. However, in the meantime, we are implementing these changes to help Shadow's performance in multi-target situations in Season 4. We'll continue to watch Shadow's performance as the season unfolds and make further adjustments if needed. Okay, so that's cool. That's letting you know that like they are working on it. You know, changes are coming, and this is just for now so that you can do a little bit more damage. I mean, Shadow Priest is just so bad right now, right? Like like if we go like let's look at the sub creation. I know this isn't like the be all and end all of stats, but if we're looking at the sub creation, you know, we got Shadow Priest here in the C. I mean, that means they're being played a little bit, but down here with Affliction, Arcane, and Beast Mastery, like obviously these specs need to be boosted up. It would be nice if Affliction was better. It would be nice if Arcane was better. The difference here is Warlocks have the top S tier spec in Destruction, so they have that class. You know, Hunters have Survival, right? And over here in S, you know, Mages have Fire and Frost in the A tier. This is just an average, you know, of like over 4,000 runs, right? This is an average of over 4,000 runs. You know, Shadow Priest, that's all they got. If you want a DPS as a Shadow Priest and you love Shadow Priest, you have nothing. I mean, you have a top tier healer if you want to do that, but you know, not everyone wants to do that. So why would you be forced to do that? So it would be nice to see, you know, Shadow Priest bumped up a peg. It doesn't have to be S tier, but it would be nice to be like along the lines of all the other classes. I think B tier is a sweet spot. A tier is like a sweet spot, you know? I mean, people are running the keys, like they're running high keys with it, but it's definitely rare. It can be done. Obviously it can be done. Any content can be done with any class. We have to remember that. It's just you're giving up a lot to play a class that you love, and it shouldn't be. Here are the Warlock Destruction nerfs. Well, I shouldn't say nerfs. They're buffing a lot of the damage, so the Chaos Bolt we're increasing by 5% in PvE. Incinerate's just having a flat increase by 20%. Immolate's being increased by 20%, and Conflagrate's being increased by 10%. So these are being increased because apparently the nerfs... Oh shit. The nerfs we got to... The tier set were too much, so they're reining it back a bit, but the nerfs we're getting to the tier set is too much, so they're adjusting the damage to make up for that. Blasphemy no longer grants Reign of Chaos. In order to address Destruction's excess soul shard generation issues, they're generating tons of soul shards. We're removing the ability for Blasphemy to grant Reign of Chaos. This will prevent their shard generation from getting out of control and reining their AoE output. However, this will have an effect on some of the single target destruction spells. To help counter that, they're kind of buffing everything else. Will this knock them out of the S tier? You know, no, it will not. You know, will these buffs be huge? Maybe. They might. Probably not. But Destruction Warlock is still going to be S tier. What this means is that maybe Demonology can also bump up there, and Demonology might be in the high ranks as well. It's already sitting at A tier again. Like if we go back here, we're already looking at, oh, well, it says B tier here, which is fine. I mean, that just might be based on all the runs. I would consider with these buffs, or debuffs to Destruction, Demonology creeps up a little bit. I could definitely see, yeah, Demonology it's gonna creep up. It has to. We'll see. Cool. Protection Warrior, ignore pain, absorption increased by 30%. The absorption cap is now based on maximum health. They're struggling with magic and unblockable damage. You know, that's true, but this isn't enough to bring Warrior up there either. You know, look at the sustainability of something like Blood DK. Like, Blood DKs are fun to play. They have like a very interesting play style, and then if we look at something like Protection Warrior, not really interesting. Not interesting, but we're kind of like a weaker paladin at that point, right? We have less spells, we have less defensives, we have less ways to help ourselves. You know, ignore pain's nice, but ignore pain's not everything. So I don't know. I think Protection Warrior does need like a full-on rework, and Warriors kind of get like I know that they have Fury, but they kind of get in the ass end of the stick on this one. This week it says they're A tier, but I mean, we could just change the affixes. It changes based on affix, obviously. But any week we see like any week there's like heavy magic, it's gone. Blood DK just strong the whole time. I'm glad to see no changes to them. Item rewards, Great Vault. So they're going to be adding in Shadowlands, all 3 Shadowland raid rewards to the vault. So So that's cool. It adds more to the vault. The token of merit, which is if you don't want anything from your vault, you take that token and you can be converted to gold. 1,000 gold each seems really low. That has been increased a bit, but it still seems very low for what you're getting. Faded Castathria and Faded Sanctum of Domination encounters now reward Cosmic Flux. That's cool. Cosmic Flux is used for everything from tier crafting to, you know, your legendary crafting. Having more of it is always great. Slightly increase the drop rate of Edge of Night and Ray Shalair Death Whisperer. Note, due to the shorter season and raid rotation, we want these items to be a bit more attainable. So we have slightly increased their drop rate as an epic quality item. The Edge of Night will also be available from the Faded Raid vendor. So that's cool. Accumulated Valor is reset, but the cap will be removed. Oh no. Accumulated Valor is reset, but the cap will stay removed. Oh no, dude. That is horrible. I don't know why I assumed it wouldn't. Oh my god, that sucks. Okay, it's fine. We'll move on, but I guess I should have assumed every season it resets, but for some reason I assumed with the cap being removed that maybe it wouldn't reset this season, and it definitely is, so that's crazy. So Accumulated Conquest is reset with higher weekly cap than previous seasons. The cap will remove later in the season. Just remove the cap now. Why remove it later in the season? Just remove the cap now. Like, why do they do this? I don't understand why they do this. It makes no sense. Just remove the cap now. What is the benefit to having the cap, right? What is the benefit to having the cap? You don't want everyone to play through the game in 1 week? Give them more content to play. Give them more stuff to do, right? Domination sockets have been removed from all Sanctum of Domination items. That's fantastic. I don't want to have to do that. As well as items sold by Arcanist. Okay, cool. So we've lost the Sanctum of Domination sockets, which is great because that was a dumb system. And any system that is one patch only, you know, not great. Helms and Waste from Sanctum of Domination can now roll sockets naturally. That's a good change. And when faded can be socketed using the new socketer Faded Matter Fertilizer? I don't know. He will socket an item for 3 attendance tokens of merit. Ephemera Infused Mesh no longer functions and can be sold to a vendor for 6,000 gold. Adds a socket. Oh, so, you know, stock up on these. If you have a bunch of attendance tokens, you know, stock up on these and just sell them for 6,000 gold each. Damn. Okay. Vessels of Profound Possibilities no longer require Season 3 achievements to purchase. It can now be purchased for 10,000 Cosmic Flux. So that is cool. Just in case no one knows what it does, we'll pull it up here. This increases your attunement to the Shadowlands, learning all conduits and raising their item to 278. So that is fantastic. That is a good item to buy, and that'll help everyone catch up. So just save your Cosmic Flux up. All right. Stygian Ember no longer drops from bosses, lieutenants, or Korthia weeklies. That's fine. We don't need that. The following trinkets have been adjusted. Spell of Endless Fate now stacks on players, was target before. Blood Spattered Scale now has its damage and absorb reduced by 25%. Okay, all this is pretty boring, just basic percentage stuff. It will be interesting to see what trinkets. Wow, they nerfed so many. Okay, hold on. Okay, so a couple of them got, yeah, we're getting some buffs here on a lot of them. All right, so this is a lot to go through. So each trinket, it's really tough to discuss the trinkets without having the PCR to test them on because, well, it exists right now, but we're not doing that at the moment. But going through each of these trinkets, it's going to be interesting to see what is the meta moving forward. I don't think it'll change all that much, but we'll see. Like they changed a lot of trinkets here. Interesting. The following weapons have been slightly adjusted, so they increase the Edge of Night and Death Whisper's drop rates. Genesis Lathe Ephemeral Infusions effects increased by 10%, and Sepulture Savior on effects increased by 20%. We're not really huge PvP, so we're gonna skip through the PvP section. Okay, so the big send-offs here for this patch, we are seeing Faded Raids, which is old content, coming back and becoming relevant again. So we are seeing new Mythic Plus dungeons, with all old dungeons outside of Tazavesh. We're getting Karazhan, you know, we're getting Mechagon. Is it too early for Mechagon? I definitely think it is. It would have been nice to see a Mist of Pandaria dungeon put in there, or even a Legion, like outside of Karazhan, maybe a different Legion dungeon. I know we've kind of had Legion in there already, so it's tough. Yeah, maybe Mist. Mist would have been good, I think. But this is just a test moving forward, so we will see what happens after season 4 and moving into Dragonflight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because I'm excited, but I don't know if this is enough to reel everybody back in. I'm a long-time WoW player, so obviously I'm going to play this patch. But yeah, is this enough for you? Do you PvP? You want more PvP changes? I think we need like an overhaul of the PvP talent system. It would be nice to see some changes in there, maybe major class changes. I'm sure they have plans for Dragonflight, but waiting another 6 months is tough. You know, this is all old content, so if you've done this already, or you weren't interested in it in the first place, this isn't going to be exciting for you. If you're still playing WoW and you don't want to do the same 8 dungeons for the next 6 months, this is great for you. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully this is something they keep using moving forward, and they expand upon it, and they don't absolutely crush it down like they have with so many of their other systems. You know, it is positive, and I do say this is a positive change. I'm happy for it, but it's very late in the process, and I, for one, am extremely tired of seeing an expansion come out, all these systems be horrible, and then at the end of the expansion is fine, right? Like BFA was the same way, you know, Legion was the same way. So it's like, I don't know. Hopefully these changes are a sign of a bright future for WoW, and not the same old, because if it's the same, you know, I don't want to be kind of like a doomsayer, but I think that might be the end of World of Warcraft, because we can't just keep going through the same shit over and over again. So yeah, well, I appreciate everyone sticking around, hanging out on the stream, watching the video. I will be streaming World of Warcraft tomorrow, when this video comes up. That's today, August 2nd. And yeah, we'll be going through the new season. We'll be doing Mythic Plus. We'll be doing, maybe we'll do a Faded raid or 2. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it'll be great. So if you can, you know, follow the Twitch channel, just come up below. Subscribe to my YouTube, like the video, it really helps. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.